Hello, everyone. Am I the only one that's unmuted?
I can unmute with you.
Okay.
Hi, Cheryl. I'm here.
Good. It says we cannot start our videos because the host has stopped it.
I'm promoting everybody to panelists, which should allow you to.
He doesn't want to see us, I think. He knows.
I think we're all we can't even. I'm not sure the meeting will be legal if we can't be seen.
I think it's okay right now, but there's you have to go into your own settings, I think. Tom, or do we have anybody from TSD on here?
No. I did it last time. Let me see.
Okay, I don't see any TSDs.
Yeah, I don't either. Go into the participant list, or panelist list, rather.
Uh-huh. Oh,
And-
okay, there, I see it.
And then can you?
In the panelist list, can you click on the
Video camera?
camera,
Yeah.
the little icon on the far right?
Well, when I try to, another button pops up on top of it.
Uh-oh.
See if you can hover over somebody's name and do it that way. But I think it's in your own settings as the host.
Can you make us co-hosts?
That's a good idea. That might do it.
Yeah, there we go. We can do that. Cheryl, did that allow you to turn your video on?
I'll try it. Yes. Good idea.
Isabel saves the day.
Yeah.
Again. Gotta remember.
I was on a Zoom meeting this morning. We had so many hassles, and I just recommended that next time everybody be made a co-host, so we could not spend our time diddling around with Zoom.
Yeah,
Mr. Long.
I'm still learning the webinars that they made us all switch to. So,
Ah, we've got John now, and we've got Lee coming up soon.
yes. Dr. Thomas did advise that she would probably be a few minutes late.
Right. So we'll have to watch for her.
Yeah,
So-
I've got the participant list up, so.
Okay, good. I think that's enough of us. Do you know about Dan Swafford?
I have not heard from Mr. Swafford.
Okay, so let's get to business. I would like to call to order the February 10th, 2022 meeting of the Monroe County Solid Waste Management District Board of Directors meeting. And thank you, everybody, for your time today. And let us begin with Mr. McGlasson calling the attendance.
Munson,
Yes.
Thomas, Githens,
Yes,
Hamilton,
Yes.
Piedmont Smith,
Here.
Jones,
Here.
Swafford. You have a quorum.
Thank you. I think we're just going to run through the agenda, which you all have before you. The executive committee meeting minutes of January 3rd, 2022 are included for your information. And we have minutes to approve from our last meeting. Ms. Piedmont Smith, would you offer a motion, please?
Yes, I move approval of the minutes of the January Board of Directors meetings, January 13th, 2022.
Thank you. Could I have a second?
second, sorry.
Thanks. Directors, do you have any questions or comments on these minutes? Seeing none, we will have a roll call vote, please.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes,
Munson,
Yes,
Piedmont Smith.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Let's roll right into the controller's report. Ms. Kathy Martin, welcome and thank you for joining us.
The cash flow summary is on page 14 of the packet. As of January 31st, the ending balance in the accounts were as follows. The operating account was $2,112,594.60. Savings account was $1,604.69. Closure bond debt was $7,511.02. Capital account was $45,422.32. And the landfill post-closure was $752,317.66. The individual cash flows follow for each of those on pages 15 through 17 and 19 to 21. The cash balance graph is stuck in the middle of those. They're on page 18. What questions do you have on the balances or the cash flow statements?
So that's a very short line on page 18 for our current cash flow.
like a dot.
It's a dot. So it's
A
hard to
dot.
see trends just looking looking at one monthly report. Anybody wish to make comments? Have questions? Mr. Hamilton?
Sorry, am I unmuted? Yeah, I really appreciate those reports. And I was actually trying to do the math, but I can't move it fast enough. But I came on this board in 2016, I guess, and we had a balance in January of 1.228 essentially. We're now at 3.129. That's a $2 million, not quite $2 million increase, 1.9 million, I guess, give or take, which is probably a 160% increase or something. It just reminds us that we're definitely building up some serious balances, which is good. Puts us in shape to do some important things, I think. I know we have operating budget issues, which we want to be careful about. But I also do think that steady pattern that we see should prompt us to think about how do we invest that to get results done in our community that we want to see, that our community wants to see. So I really appreciate the report, and it's very positive news, and it encourages us to keep at what we're doing and maybe enhance what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Other board members? Ms. Piedmont Smith?
I had a question about the closure bond debt. When do we usually get the income into that account? Because I know it's getting pretty low, but I think twice a year we get income from taxes.
Yeah, it's June and December with the regular tax disbursements.
Okay, same as the
Yeah,
other.
and then, so we would have got a revenue in December, and then in January, we made our first payment. And then we'll get revenue back in June that will cover the second payment in August.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? So thank you for these reports, Ms. Martin. Let's look at payroll and claims, please.
On page 12, we have a listing of the pre-approved claims, and those were in the amount of $73,882.29. The backup documentation follows for those on pages 23 to 31. Yesterday, I sent an email with the current biweekly claims for payroll and accounts payable in the amount of $91,602.32. And that brings the total of the claims that I approve and am submitting for the board's approval to $165,484.61.
Wait, I can't keep up with you fast enough. What page is that on, please? That
Um,
last number?
Well, it should be page, let me check, 31.
I think the last one is on the what she sent us yesterday. Kathy sent
Yeah,
us yesterday.
Yes.
The
Correct.
last one would be on the second file that I sent out to you yesterday.
Yes.
Because it's the one that has the for your signatures and had the entire amounts
Yes.
on there.
So do we have questions on any of these claims? Ms. Piedmont Smith?
Yeah, I have a question, and it may just be ignorance on my part. I noticed that we pay for membership with the Chamber of Commerce, the Bloomington Monroe County Chamber, and of course, we do collaborate with them to get businesses to participate in some of our educational programs. Is it normal for tax collecting public entities like the district, the county, the city to pay to be chamber members? Is that a regular thing? Seems kind of odd to me, just as a layperson.
Well,
Well,
I
the-
think,
County pays to be like member of the BEDC and things like that, and the chambers. Sorry, Cheryl. Sorry.
right. So I don't know how regular it is other places, but there's been a long history of that here.
Isabel, we certainly sponsor things with the chamber, and we are a member and a big sponsor of BEDC. I actually technically can't, I'm not certain whether we're a formal member as a city of the chamber. I think it's, as a kind of a quasi-governmental thing like the district, I think it's actually good to do that, maybe. I don't know.
So-
I'm not sure the city's a formal member. We may be, I just don't remember. But we definitely help sponsor events and like things like that with the chamber.
Right.
Okay, I just never noticed it before, and I mean, it makes sense to, because we have mutual goals for the betterment of the community,
Yeah.
so that's fine.
And we've been a member for 3 to 4 years, and we actually have recruited some new GBN clients out of that. The relationships we've established through that membership, and as you said earlier, also gotten our foot in the door with some businesses to help them do some waste reduction programs and use some of our recycling education for those businesses.
Cool.
So thank you. Do we have a membership or a supporting line for the Ellisville Chamber?
We are not formal members of the Ellisville Chamber, but we certainly have a relationship with them, and have attended, at least Ms. Procral and I have attended a number of their events and are on their mailing list, and
Great,
do regularly interact with them.
very good, thank you. Any other questions about the claims? Then we are ready for a motion, please.
Move adoption.
Oh,
Okay, whatever.
thank you.
Sorry, I was muted. I move approval of payroll and
Oh.
claims.
We have a motion from Mr. Hamilton.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Would you like to second?
I will second.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll have a roll call vote, please.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Munson,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Githens.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next agenda item is our waste tire program update from Mr. McGlasson. I don't know if he has anything more than the short bit of information in our packet, but I'm certainly anxious to hear about this.
Yeah, not really anything to add what's in the packet, but just wanted to make the board aware that we are, moving forward with investigating, investigating what options are available for residents as a first step to determining whether or not the district needs to, provide any services or augment any services related to waste tire recycling and disposal. So the document that's in the packet, the memo on page 32 with the document following page 33 is just a publicly issued request for information that a legal counsel advised was a logical first step to ensure compliance with the section of the state statute governing waste management districts providing services. So those, as you can see in the document, we've requested, any interested parties to respond by March 4th. With the intent of being able to go through those and provide that information to the board at next month's meeting, and then look at, depending on what those responses are, the next steps for the district to move forward with any potential services regarding waste tires.
Very good. Questions or comments? Mr. Hamilton?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to understand. Is this a service that we are wanting to add, but in order to do it, we have to go through this procedure to make sure essentially nobody else is objecting to us doing it? Is that, just help me understand in English?
Yeah. Basically, I mean, we've, based on the number of tires we collect at illegal dump sites, the number of calls we get from residents that are having trouble finding an outlet for their waste tires. We thought that demonstrated that there might be a need for some additional services in the community. And then the IC 13-21-3-14.5 does lay out some criteria that has to be followed in order for a waste management district to provide waste management services to the community, basically to ensure that we're not using tax subsidized services to compete with the private sector.
Right.
Can I follow up with one? That's
Please.
helpful? So is another way of saying that then that we think we're not proposing to do anything dramatically different from what we're doing today. And if we are, it's fine, but we're basically saying we're kind of effectively a tire collection service. So we ought to make sure we're not doing that in a way that contravenes this statute that says, don't get into the business if somebody else is doing it already. Is that fair?
Yeah. Basically the statute says that if the district determines that adequate services are available at a fair price, then no, we can't go do it. So that's what the request for information is, an initial step to try to determine if
Good.
Adequate services are available
Mhm.
at fair prices in the community.
So there are other comparable restrictions on services provided by Indiana University, for example, so that they are not involved with competition with private business.
Thank you.
So, okay. Other questions about the waste tire study in process? Okay, thank you, Tom. We'll move on to the CAC report. And I don't know who is presenting today. Is it Mr. Joseph Winia? There he is. His
It
face is
is.
showing.
Indeed. Hello, everyone. And thank you for the opportunity to present. I will just focus on a couple of highlight points from the report that was provided in the packet on page 37. And that is that we had our annual meeting this past January on the 20th. And while officers and schedule remained nearly unchanged, we did put together the 2021 activity report, which is also included on the packet on page 38. I'd be happy to field questions on following this report. And we also took the opportunity to discuss at that regular meeting individual positions on the proposed biodigester feasibility study partnership. So there were 4 members who expressed general support for the partnership, one of whom was most interested in the land application benefits, and another on the value of the research for decision-making purposes. And the other 2 expressed interest, but with the qualification for requiring additional time and information for consideration. And that was generally the feel of the CAC during the discussion, that with the information that we had and the time we had to consider it, there wasn't a body consensus to present to the board, and that will probably continue to be developed over time, particularly if we have the opportunity to have a joint meeting before there is a proposal provided by CBU for moving forward with that. And that meeting did also prompt the proposal or the idea of arranging a joint meeting with the board and the CAC to discuss that topic, as well as the district rework branding and language and the apartment recycling initiative. So I have provided a scheduling poll to CAC members just very recently to determine their availability for the March and April board meeting times, either at the beginning or the end of the regularly scheduled meeting time. And we'll report
Great.
that back to the executive committee once those answers come in before the end of, or by this time next week, when we have the CAC regular meeting.
Excellent.
That concludes the report.
Very good. It looks like we're going to be organized to have a joint meeting then. So questions or comments for Mr. Winia? Ms. Piedmont Smith?
Yeah, I'm sorry, what was the other topic for a joint meeting? So it was the biodigester study, and what was the other thing?
The second mentioned was the rework of the district's branding and language.
Oh, yeah,
And
okay.
then the third is the currently considered apartment recycling initiative.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Good. Other questions for Mr. Winia? Seeing none, I'll just thank you on behalf of the board, and thank you to all the CAC members.
Thank you.
So we'll turn now to department updates.
I'm
oh,
sorry, Ms. Munson.
I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Ms. Piedmont Smith, go ahead.
I forgot, I had another question for Mr. Winia. I noticed in your notes that you said that there was a prospective new member who attended your meeting. Is that somebody who might apply to join the CAC?
To my knowledge, yes, there was a verbal expression of an intent to. I haven't followed up or heard any follow-up since, but the attendance of the meeting was an intent and an interest in knowing what membership consisted of and seeing the body in action. So
Yeah.
hopefully that led to continued desire for application.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So thank you. Okay, now we'll go to department updates. Mr. McGlasson, will you start, please?
I will, and I'll start with 2 things to kind of follow up with the CAC report that aren't in the memo. And the first being that in addition to the potential member that Mr. Winia referenced, we are still looking at have a representative of MCCSC coming on to the CAC. The staff member that they've identified to do that, unfortunately had some family emergencies and has not been able to provide his letter of interest yet, but we certainly hope to have that next month for the board's consideration. And then on the Oh, and now I lost my train of thought. On the CBU study and the anaerobic digester. I know there was some thoughts, some discussion at the last board meeting about potentially picking that up again this month. Unfortunately, Mr. Kelson and I were not able to get together in time to review or prepare anything to present to the board, but I did speak with Mr. Kelson yesterday and do anticipate that we'll have something to present to the board regarding that feasibility study at next month's meeting. And then there's a mention in the memo about, apartment recycling, and just as mentioned in the memo, got some inquiries in with the city, trying to see if we can't get some population density numbers that might help us identify optimum locations to site a collection center that might, be convenient to the largest number of apartment or multi-unit dwellings. So working to get that information and have identified some I guess contacts for some potential locations that we might consider to gauge the property owner or property manager's interest and ability to host a location if we chose to put it at those places. So so we are slowly but surely but moving forward with continuing to pursue that, and hopefully those things will start to come together for us and we can look at moving something forward. And I think another big item that I think that most of the board is aware of at this point, but not in the memo, the Rumpke's proposed resource recovery facility, their state permit was approved within the past week. So they've got that out of the way. My understanding is they do still have some local permitting issues to finalize before they can break ground on anything, but they do anticipate breaking ground yet this spring on that facility, and hopefully opening up early in 2023. So that's the timeline that I've been presented at this point. But so that's moving forward as well. Other than that, everything else is, I think, pretty much in the memo, but be happy to answer any questions.
So Mr. Hamilton had his hand up.
Thank you. Look, I know we're in a public meeting, and it's always dangerous to just kind of throw speculation out there, but hey, that's the way we roll anyway. So I wonder, you got me thinking about the recycling efforts, which of course are terrific direction, and locating a facility, for example, in the city. And, Councilmember Piedmont Smith and I, we haven't coordinated this or anything, but, there's some possibility that we would take more aggressive steps to encourage / even require recycling offered at certain places or buildings or sizes, or certain waste management practices as part of our climate action plan and other things like that. And I wonder whether, one, I just want to make sure we're not going down one road that then might, there not be a bigger road that's happening. Two, I wonder whether we might consider some carrots from a solid waste management district, in addition to some mandates or incentives otherwise that could encourage that to happen more. Obviously, anyway, I just want to raise that issue, and Councilmember Piedmont Smith, you and I haven't even talked about this, but if there were to be, I know you care a lot about trying to increase a lot of things happening at big multifamily buildings that don't happen there right now. And I just want to make sure we're coordinating on all that.
Well, I mean, we would certainly, I would certainly, work with, the appropriate, I guess, city departments and boards before we were to, move forward with siting a facility, to make sure that we weren't creating redundancies or overlapping, either current or planned similar services. we certainly wouldn't want to do that. From my perspective, and I don't want to bring up any bad history feelings but I consider the city doing things to mandate recycling, I think would go over like at the state level, like the bag ban did. And I'm just not confident that, although I'm sure that the city administration and the city council would love to put such requirements on developers proposing new, apartment buildings and stuff in the city. I'm just not confident that those things would hold up at the state level if there was pushback from the developers on that. And so from that end, just kind of moving forward with it.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with thinking about it. We have a very aggressive climate action plan. I think it's really important to think about how we move forward with it. And this may or may not be, one of the early steps. I don't know. I do think you are right to be concerned about what state legislators might do. Certainly, it's one reason also to think about perhaps a carrot and stick kind of program too, where we could help facilitate capital investments or other things that might be helpful for entities getting into this, because we view it as our mission to help divert things from the landfill and all that. Sometimes you just have to fight the fights. You never know how they'll come out, but I appreciate it. And I know you'll be coordinating with this. And again, I'm sorry if I'm raising something that's, I know that we're going to be working really hard over the next several years to continue to advance the climate action plan. And I want to make sure we're teed up together on that if we can be. So, thanks.
So I want to comment that I know some communities have provided grant programs to help housing developments alter their parking areas or other part of their property to provide recycling facilities. And that's certainly something that we should keep in mind. Ms. Piedmont Smith?
Yeah, in the climate action plan, it does talk about explore the creation of a universal zero waste ordinance requiring all property owners to provide recycling and compost collection services. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about both with my city council colleagues and with the waste district board that that action would probably be thwarted by the state legislature. But I agree. I think Mayor Hamilton makes a good point that we need to, keep an eye on. We do have a chapter on waste reduction in our climate action plan, and we should keep an eye on that and make sure we're in step with those plans, because I think they're solid. They're good plans. And with what our city and county colleagues are working on.
So other questions for Mr. McGlasson? Well, let's continue on then with departmental reports. And I can't scroll fast enough to see who is next. Is it Mr. Long?
Yeah, Mr. Long would be up next.
Welcome, Mr. Long.
Thank you for having me. I'll start with the recycling center. It's been operating as normal, even with the weather. We've taken care of all that. Our Green Business Network has added a couple new businesses for recycling. One of them in particular is the Boys and Girls Club in Ellisville, came on this year with a full contract. Our hazmat program, we have scheduled our annual HazWOPER training to meet requirements and training for our employees at the end of this month. We have him coming in the 22nd through the 25th. And the sites is operating as normal also. And that's what I have. I'll try to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Long? I'll start with one to get it going. Thank you for including the trash and recycling tonnage and pools.
Yeah,
And this is hard to digest, so to speak, because we're just, I mean, it helps us see which months are bringing in the most. It helps us see which of our sites is doing the most or doing the least. But a more informative presentation for me would be to compare 2021 with previous years. Do you have any ideas about doing that?
I can. I mean, I would have to go through Scott's stuff and see if I can find them. But
Mhm.
I'm sure we have it down
I
and
think
I
we
could
have
do that.
So what do you think, Mr. McGlasson? Is this useful to you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it would certainly be nice to look at, trending on an annual basis from year to year. And all of Mr. Morgan's historical reports are, we are available. We can get to those. And we'll be able to put something together.
Good. So thank you. We'll look forward to that. And good to hear everything's going well. Now we have a report from Mr. Paulson. Welcome, Lee Paulson.
Hey there. Lee Paulson, landfill director, compliance director. Last month, or I guess what's in the report is our normal monthly stuff there. Some things that I'm trying to read this and talk to you at the same time. I'm trying to add, like when I list the landfill stuff and then the compliance stuff, like with the adopter road, starting last year, I started doing like a running total of the number of adopter roads that we did and broke it down into the trash weight and recycle weight. So given some of the statistics that I've got to provide for the state on an annual basis and some of the questions that the board members have asked in the past, within that report for the compliance part, I'm trying to keep a running total of our number of cases and then breaking down those cases as to what type of cases we're getting. So illegal burns, private property cases, and then illegal dumps on the side of the road stuff. And then another category is tires, because tires seems to be an interesting topic right now that a lot of people are talking about. So trying to break those down to give an idea of like what we're taking on a monthly basis and an annual basis for those things. I provide those numbers to the state for the tire part and the trash weights and the recycle weights and those kind of stuff for reports at the end of the year. But I'm trying to provide those in there so you guys can get a better idea of what we're doing and what we're dealing with on a more smaller, but then also, as the year has gone on, because certain months we definitely get more than others just because of traffic, weather, different kind of things like that. But just try to keep you guys a little, give you a better snapshot of what we're dealing with. Within that report too, I think I put it in there. For 2022 so far, given today and what we've dealt with today, I mean, today is the 40th day of the year and we're at our 38th case already. So that is higher, much higher than normal, and we're hoping that doesn't trend for the entire year kind of thing like that. But given the stuff that we see on the side of the roads and what we can try to do and the number of reports that we're taking in, stuff like that, it doesn't look to be slowing down. And once a lot of this snow gets melted off and it's safer to be on the side of the roads to just, get out and try to take care of stuff, I mean, those numbers are going to continue to be high. So, but you know, that just kind of is what it is. But that just kind of, and then also was asked about leachate last month in regards to like what we've treated, what we've hauled, total leachate, and then that kind of stuff. So at the very last document, there's a 3-year window of, and it breaks it down with monthly rainfall, amount of leachate that we treated ourselves, the amount that we hauled, and the total. And then there's a chart on there too, is what we paid to haul it, and then the cost savings piece. So a few years ago, when we went on, started this new contract with Bynum Faneuil, I took basically all the costs that I could try to figure out that went into operating that leachate treatment plant, the electricity and materials and stuff like that, and tried to base an estimated cost as close as I can as to what it costs for us to treat on our own. And then what that would be in that last column, I believe, is what it would be if we didn't have that treatment plant running, and what it would be if we would like hauled that. If we had to haul the entire month's amount, that's what we would get. And so that try to give you a better idea of what, you know, better idea what that looks like. And that's and I did the 3-year window because in 2019 is when we started our contract with Bynum Faneuil. And previous to that, the trucks and the amounts were different and different things. So I just figured that was an appropriate 3-year window of what's going on.
So
Any
thank you.
questions? Okay.
Mr. Hamilton?
All right, thank you. Thank you, Lee. I'm just trying to understand. It's very helpful. You have that second to the last column is how much we paid to haul, right?
Yes.
And the last column is what it would have cost if we didn't have our treatment operating, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
An estimate.
Yeah.
Where is the cost for our treatment? Or like
I don't have a per se cost for our treatment. In general, the way that the numbers work out, it's like 45%, 45 to 55%. So like what of what it would cost. So if it's $214 for every 5,000 gallons that I pay to haul away, it's about 50% of that is what it actually costs
to treat it,
to operate the treatment plant.
Got
But
it.
that, you know, and again, that's an estimate because I factored in, you know, heat for the building, repairs for the building.
Did everything you could think of, but
Everything that I can think of that we have to have out there to operate that treatment plant. And again, it's been a colder December and January than it's been in 3 years consistently. So my heaters are up, you know what I'm saying? My heaters and my pump boxes are running. And it's just, so again, that it's not exact, but you know, given the amount of information that I had, that's about as close as I can get. You know, obviously as years go on and I can put more data in that stuff, it would fine tune it a little bit, but it's still going to be around 50% of what it costs to haul it away.
Mr. Mayor, at the bottom of the last page, he does have a footnote there that says that, you know, a batch at the treatment plant is about 4,000 gallons, and he's estimated that to cost about $95, and then he breaks that down per gallon, and it is about half of the per gallon cost to haul.
great. So I'm just trying to
This
understand.
is really good.
I'm just trying to understand. So if I were looking at what we're saving, I would take the cost without treatment. I'd subtract the amount we paid to be hauled and from that, and then I'd cut it in half. Would that be right? Because we have to pay a little bit to do our treatment.
Yeah, cutting that in half would be that'd be a good estimate. It's
Give or
not
take.
quite precise because it's not exactly half on the difference in treating and hauling, but that's close.
So like in 2020, it might be about $100,000 if we spent, we saved 200,000 effectively by not hauling it all off. And we figure we spent maybe half that to do it. So we saved 100 grand. give or
Yeah,
take.
so I mean,
Great.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
great.
So
yes, correct, yep.
I think this is very, very helpful information, especially good for the public to know that the value of the work that goes on at the solid waste district. And
Yeah.
I have a question about our Bynum Faneuil contract. Is there another fee in that contract other than the monthly fee?
No, I pay, or we pay, they have two different size trucks and, you know, I call it the small truck and the big truck. The big truck is 5,000 gallons and that's $214. That is transportation and disposal of the leachate, all in one thing. So we're not getting a bill for transportation and a bill for disposal with that stuff.
Okay.
Their smaller truck is a 4,200 gallon truck and that's $180. So when you calculate all that stuff out, it comes out to 0.0 blah 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 blah, and it's not exactly because of the decimal points, especially when you get hauling a lot, so it's a little bit different. But yeah, and again, that's disposal and transportation of it, so all together.
Okay, thank you. Other questions for Mr. Paulson? Ms. Githens?
This isn't a question, it's just a comment. I think that as we talk about climate change, the fact that we're not having heavy trucks hauling things is also better for the environment. So I appreciate that work.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're, like I said, I mean, we've had some interesting things out there and things that we can control and things that we can't. And it seems to be the things that we are unable to control, you know, last summer with the algae bloom and, you know, things like that, that we can try to anticipate or prepare for those things as best we can, but we still, there's a multitude of things that we just have I have no idea what to expect this summer, so.
Right.
Well, you can't predict the rain, so that's one
No,
of
I
your big
can't.
factors.
If I could.
So, Ms. Piedmont Smith.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that this was right. It says in your report that so far for 2022, 960 pounds of trash have been removed in
Yes,
environmental compliance cases.
yes,
Man, that's a lot.
yes, it is. For a January month where we had a lot of snow and cold, that is a lot. And and that's why I'm trying to provide those numbers a little more. I've provided that stuff with the adopter road because that was a question before, but looking at, you know, our trending, because our compliance cases for roadside cleanup stuff is through the roof the past 2 years. And the way things are going so far this year, I mean, we're at almost a roadside cleanup already this, you know, every day this year, every day period, whether it's a working day or not. And that's like, we're at 38 cases and it's the 40th day of the year. So, I mean, it's been busy already, you know, and trying to figure out why. I don't know why.
So I will offer a comment on that. What I see driving rural roads are bags of trash, not just trash, but bags of trash. And I think many of them have blown out at the back of the pickup. And
Correct.
people did not intend to dump them on the side of the road, but they sure didn't go back when they looked in the rear view mirror and saw them flying out. So I don't know, maybe some education about tying down trash bags.
Well, you're absolutely correct. I mean, and Mary Beth and I have taken time and tried to, it's not just individual people, it's haulers with unsecured loads that are going too fast on the roads, oversized loads that are larger than what they should be. Mary Beth and I have both tried to, as we've been out in the county roads and stuff like that and seen stuff, we've tried to chase them down as best we could, you know, because they're taking a corner too fast and they've got just like rope netting, stuff like that. And they take the turn and, you know, Mary Beth just today, I mean, we got a call from police dispatch out on Harmony Road that, you know, the hauler out there took the corner too fast and it just like 7 bags of trash just off the truck and the guy didn't stop. so we get the phone call for it and we go take care of it. But again, the load wasn't secured. They didn't take care of what they were supposed to take care of. And I drive that truck every day. And if I see something fall off the back of that truck, I stop and make sure that it gets taken care of. And these individuals could be doing the same thing. We see a lot of mattresses. I mean, a lot of mattresses, and I don't know why that is, but they're disgusting by the time they're on the side of the road, especially with water and stuff like that. And it's just,
really.
I don't get it. But yeah, there's a lot of things that we can all say that we recommend to do or stuff like that, but it's just Mary Beth and I. So there's not enough hours of the day to, her keeping up with the property cases and the letters and the documentation and the education that she provides to the people with that, above and beyond her role in the community. She does above and beyond that. And I appreciate all that she does with that, but still, there's still only two of us, and, 20 working days a month, you know what I'm saying? I mean, now outside of weekend, then it's just, there's a lot there. And we've got the landfill to take care of as well, so.
Well, if anybody has good ideas about how to, especially how to help the commercial haulers be more responsible, we should talk about this.
Yeah, I mean, we've, when Mary Beth and I see stuff like that, we try to contact the health department that permits the haulers and let them aware of certain routes that we see. But I mean, that's all we can do. I mean, I don't totally feel comfortable, chasing another truck down to get them to try to stop, you know what I'm saying?
No,
I mean,
that's not your
that's
business.
well beyond what my role is. I mean,
Yeah.
But again, it's our tax dollars that go out there to pay me to go out there to pick up somebody else's because they're negligent, and we have contacted people when we find addresses in the trash bags or something like that, and try to let them know that, hey, contact your hauler, because I'm positive you didn't do this because you live way over here in the county and this is way over here. So your hauler had it in their truck and dropped it. So you have to help with that too. And it's a mixed bag of results on how people approach that, because that's not my job. I pay them, and wherever it goes. But again, it's all one world, right? It's all one place and one community. And it seems like there's just a few of us that are tasked with enforcing some of this stuff.
Yeah. So, well, the haulers, I'm sure, have to renew their permits from time to time. And I don't know anything about that, but
Yeah, I don't either.
It's an annual permit.
It's an annual permit. Well, then I would think that there would be a way to see more responsibility.
Yeah,
If
some
they
of them
knew
are,
it
if they're
affected their
permitted.
permit.
I mean, we've seen trucks out there that are, they have the wooden walls and stuff like that on their trucks, and there's no placards on them, there's no stickers on them, there's no hauler permit thing on their truck like they're supposed to have. So, and I'm not trying to take any away from anybody's livelihood, but
No.
there's a reason we have those things to help everybody be accountable. And
Right. Well, those haulers are treating the rest of the citizens unfairly, because, as you say, we have to hire people to go out and pick up after them. So maybe there'll be something that we can look into. So, Ms. Piedmont Smith?
Yeah, I just put something in the chat, but I mean,
Sorry, I didn't see that.
if Lee and Mary Beth do report to the health department when they notice that haulers have, loads that are falling off the trucks or whatever.
yes, we have. We have, if we can get close enough to see who it was, you know what I'm saying? We have, and I know Mary Beth has got a communication line with the health department person, and we have done that. It's just
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, since you have done that, maybe we as the district could follow up with the health department and say, how are you using this information? Do you have a way to keep those records and check them before you renew permits?
Mhm.
So that
I understand. I
Yeah.
mean, and I'm not being crazy, but it's rare that we actually see that. I'm just telling you that too. I mean, it is
Mm.
very rare, but when we do try to make a point of, hey, let's try to find, what's going on here, but it is very rare,
So, but I think it might be impossible to identify more haulers that are causing problems by looking at addresses of things that are in the trash that you pick up. Roadside trash.
Well, we can try. I mean,
That would involve contacting people, and I don't see that this is something the district should be doing. But I guess you could ask them if it fell off of their truck, and they would say, oh no, not my truck. I pay so-and-so to haul my trash. There you have it.
Yep.
So, okay, anything else for Mr. Paulson? And how about anything else for all of us and any topic? Then I think we are done. Ms. Piedmont Smith.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm impressed that the facilities all stayed open despite the weather. So thank you to the staff
did.
for
Yeah.
making it into work and clearing the way for people to do their recycling and trash delivery. Thank you.
Well, we were closed the 2 days that we were at the warning travel advisory where
Okay,
people were
yeah.
basically instructed to stay off the road. We did close that day. We certainly didn't want to encourage people to be out in those conditions just
Right.
to get recycling done.
So,
Yeah,
good.
but still there was the Saturday and then the next,
Yeah.
next few days. So
Good.
thanks for the extra work.
Well, if there's no further business for Mr. McGlasson.
I would just point out, that we do have an agenda item for public comment, and we do have, I do see one member of the
I do.
public in attendance.
I'm sorry I missed that.
If Mr. Faber want to raise his hand, if he has any comment, we'll get him set up to speak. I'm not seeing his hand come up, so. Nope.
Okay,
Mr. Winia has a hand up.
I
Mr.
do if we are-
Winia,
Yes, I do. If we are on to public comment, is now the appropriate time.
we are. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. I wanted to first mention that I failed to highlight that the new district's website went live last week, which is very exciting. And I would encourage everyone to check that out if you haven't already.
Thank you. I
Um,
forgot to.
Yes, of course. Second, I am also really glad to hear Mayor Hamilton's remarks on collaborating with the recycling expansion plan. And I wanted to note that with respect to Ms. Piedmont Smith's remarks about the contents of the City of Bloomington's Climate Action Plan, that the district's 5-year management plan goals and objectives were drafted with full review and inclusion of the City of Bloomington's Climate Action Plan and Sustainability Action Plans. And in the Appendix 1 of the 5-year management plan, they are specifically called out wherever they overlap. So both entities can potentially use that to learn where they can best collaborate on those things moving forward. And I will stick that in the chat, which is also featured in the new website as well. And then also to the remarks about the concern about the state responding to recycling mandates. I know that's a reality of having to work within that framework, but I also hate to see all of these representatives willing to take action on that and suffering at the behest of a state that's not as rational about such things. So I would encourage those efforts to persist and not be thwarted by the state being what it is. And lastly, the final item that will be taken up in greater detail at our next joint meeting between the board and CAC. I would still like to note that while both the apartment recycling model that is currently being discussed and the addition of an anaerobic biodigester are both in alignment with the district's mission and both are desirable things, they are also both very capital intensive and fall under the waste diversion category, which in the 5-year management plan is intentionally listed third in categories after education and waste reduction because of the difference in impact that they accomplish. So I just want to encourage the board to not forget about the education and source reduction goals and objectives as well, especially when considering the as Mayor Hamilton mentioned, opportunity to take advantage of the funding that's available to have an impact in the community. And I think that those categories could go very far for having the most significant environmental impact. So thank you for hearing my rather lengthy comment.
Thank you.
Mr. Manley has his hand up.
Hello, Mr. Manley.
Hi, I hope all of you are well. Good to see your faces. I first wanted to state the Resource Recovery Program feasibility proposal document is currently confidential, but there are several members of the CAC that are very much interested in seeing that document. I'm not sure if arrangements could be made without that going public yet, where it could be viewed. But I think I speak for everyone when we really are interested in seeing it. And secondly, this goes to Mayor Hamilton. When I was at IDEM, I permitted land application programs for biosolids. So I'm very much interested in assisting the city, whether as a CAC member or just an individual citizen with the permitting aspects, maybe even just answering questions about it. And that's it.
Thank you. That's a good offer. Mr. Hamilton has left, and
Oh,
hopefully someone will pass your comments on to him, please.
great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the directors before we leave? Ms. Piedmont Smith.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify the first part of Mr. Manley's comment. Are you referring to the proposal to study the feasibility of an anaerobic digester? Is that what is confidential, but you'd love to see? Is that what you're talking about?
From the brief description that Tom provided, I was under the impression it was the feasibility proposal was already provided to the board of directors or the city of Bloomington, and it's remaining confidential at the time.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure we were talking about the same thing. It's the feasibility study for the anaerobic digester, which
Yeah.
we have not seen.
Yeah, the board of directors has not seen it. I'm not sure who at the city of Bloomington at an administrative level has seen it. It's City of Bloomington Utilities, which is legally a separate entity. It's their proposal. But I will inquire with Vic Kelson about what we can do to make that available to a larger audience.
Great. Thank you all.
Thank you. Other questions or comments from the directors? Then we are ready to adjourn, and we'll see you all in March. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.